Do you know what's interesting is that people I've interviewed have a lot of common themes being that the image of it was attractive in terms of music and who your heroes were. Your heroes,
All
I could
smoked.
guess, all smoked. Do you think it were alluring to you?
I do, yeah, and even now, in a nostalgic way, I look back at pictures of Beatles and they've got a fag on and I think, oh, you look cool as fuck. It's right sad, even though you know it's bollocks. I'm so conditioned to thinking it, I don't think I'll ever be able to unthink it, and it's weird. Whilst we're playing the blame game, you know who else is a massive fucking prick? Walter Raleigh.
He brought it up, didn't he?
Fucking brought it over, the prick.
I'm Chris McClure. In 2006, my face was on the front of the fastest-selling British debut album of all time. This series is about addiction in the music industry. I myself have had issues with alcohol, and 6 months ago began addressing them.
In my day, addiction wasn't seen as an illness, it was seen as a crime, you know.
The cigarettes, the heroin, the gambling, the sex, that's the symptom of the addiction. Addiction itself is an underlying condition.
In this second episode, I will look at why so many musicians smoke, why it's a part of so many iconic images, and question, are opinions changing?
I started smoking quite late compared to my friends, I think. I started when I was 18, when I went off to university in Manchester. So I'm quite looking forward to opening up the discussion around it, to be honest, around the habit of it. And especially around the how do I quit aspect.
The imagery around cigarettes, it's James Dean, it's every cool black and white movie you've ever seen. It's so much marketing spend since the 50s or earlier has gone on connecting glamour and smoking.
The marketing of cigarettes was very clever. And that goes back a long way when kind of advertising and television took off really in the 50s. But there was also another side to it, with cigarettes being like for the outsider, for the person who's cool for different reasons. Not cool because they've got lots of stuff, but cool because they don't play by the rules.
Blackwaters are a band based in Sheffield who have just been on tour with the Libertines. As young musicians, I wanted to get their view on smoking.
When you were growing up, what were images, is it like classic images or classic people you remember seeing?
Yeah, maybe just musicians, really, yeah. You know what I mean? It's like on album covers and like posters and whatnot, like, that was the thing. I think when your influences kind of smoke and that, you're kind of like, oh, it's dead cool, isn't it? So,
Yeah.
especially when you get into music.
Yeah, I think it's the aesthetic of it embedded in the music industry, especially like the rock industry.
It's more of actually just like a boredom thing. During like touring, I will smoke loads more than I do because of the waiting round and the slow kind of.
Yeah.
If I could see the damage like it was doing to me, but like I don't know, I wouldn't like to think I'll be smoking in like 20 years time, 30 years time. But
That's
like,
the thing, right?
do you know what I mean?
Smoking has always been present in my family. My brother John is lead singer of Reverend and the Makers. Also in the band is his wife Laura. I was keen to get their thoughts on the role smoking plays in their lives.
There's a disproportionately high number of musicians smoke because it goes together like, you know, cheese and biscuits. What makes me feel bad about it now is my little lads like, Daddy, them cigarettes are disgusting. They're bad for you.
Since having kids, I personally don't smoke in front of the kids. So he was saying, oh, it's disgusting that Daddy smokes, isn't it? I was like, really disgusting, it's so bad, he is going to give up. And he said, you don't smoke, Mummy, do you? And I went, no. No, I don't. I will fully lie to you. Guilty.
From Jimi Hendrix to Nirvana to Oasis, we've all seen those iconic smoking images. I came to speak to renowned photographer Andrew Whitten to find out if this is a coincidence or something more.
Obviously, you've had a long time in game. Have you noticed attitudes changing towards the images you take?
Back when I was starting out, a lot of the bigger photographers, the bigger campaigns, everything was sponsored by tobacco. And I think it definitely took a big shift in people's thoughts. Historically, it was cool. But now, you know, there are just other ways of getting cool portraits, right?
All these are your images.
Yeah, that's right.
Shot.
Yeah.
That's still a classic image.
Yeah,
For a cigarette, you're making that image.
No, exactly. I think what it proves is actually you don't need a cigarette in the shot to make something look
Even though
great. It's in. But it's like I don't really look at the cigarette when I see it now. As a photographer, you're caught between two lands. You've got to relate to the artist that you're shooting or the person you're shooting. You've got to be their friend or whatever you've got to be at that moment just to be able to connect and get a good shot. You've got to do it. But over your shoulder, you've got maybe a picture editor or a commissioner and going...
Who's directing it?
Who's directing it and going, oh, I want it like this, I want it like that. Tell him to do this, tell him to do that.
Do you think people just forget that actually what you're looking at is someone addicted to a substance?
Yeah, I think so. And I don't think people get it until maybe they are addicted to something. And you don't realise you're addicted to it until you can't shake it. And you can't get that kind of reaction from a photograph.
Yeah.
But it's deeply influential. As soon as you've changed someone's mind about it, it's like the question is, can they go back after that? And maybe they can, maybe they can't.
I think the problem is that as a society, we're quite nostalgic. We're caught in a bit of a feedback loop and we're all pissed on our own nostalgia, and we're nostalgic for a time, the great time of rock and roll and of the entertainment business and the classic age of Hollywood to which you referred earlier. The things which we're all obsessed with in a nostalgic sense, everybody smoked in during that era. So it's forever synonymous with better music, better films.
The golden years.
The golden years of popular culture, and everybody smoked, so it's been turned into this kind of iconic thing that it's probably not really. It's just another dirty habit, isn't it?
It's like the opposite of what we think it is, because we've been so programmed to think it is cool, but it's actually not.
You hide the cigarette smoking from your children, which I'm sure anybody of sound mind would agree with. You understand the danger of it and the damage it's causing.
Yeah.
But yet you're willing to do it to yourself, but you're not. The last thing you want is your child to get into it.
Well, I love them more than I love me. Seeing my mum and dad smoke normalised it for me, so they are part of the reason why I smoke. It's not just film, not just music, them thinking I don't smoke, that creates an image of smoking being bad, and that, like, for now, mummy is good because she doesn't smoke.
So our grandparents would have given our parents a fag when they were kids, 14.
To get you to get cigarettes.
Have a fag kid, 14. Yeah. Our parents smoked next to us. We smoke, but we hide it from them. It is changing, but it takes generations to get to where it needs to be.
That's one of the things I really want to push forward to our children is that fact. We're not perfect, and we're not trying to be perfect. We try and be as good as we can be for them, and one day that will mean that we probably both give up smoking.
You should go and speak to my mother.
Hello?
I kept thinking, how Chris will not smoke for long. It's a phase he's going through, but it weren't a phase.
Well, it's an addiction, isn't it?
Yeah.
Essentially.
Yeah.
You can't really see the damage you're doing.
But I've heard you coughing sometimes, and I've thought, I wish you'd stop smoking. If in the future you had any children, would you...
That would make me reconsider, because then there's someone else.
Yes, you've
not
got
just
to
me.
consider. And if you can't stop today, have a plan for yourself and start thinking, I need to start getting my head round not smoking.
The children aspect's probably the biggest thing, but is that me putting it off more? Do you know what I mean? Is me, because I know that I'm not going to have kids for I'd say about 2 years. So is it me putting it off? It's just setting yourself another deadline, isn't it? That's not now.
Many artists seem to be realising that the negative effects of smoking are not just limited to health. Lead singer Stars from Bang Bang Romeo has thought a lot about this topic.
My number one goal is to be the best that I can be and put on the best show that I can possibly put on. This is my career choice, this is my life, and smoking is something that could hold me back from achieving that. Pink and her team invited us to support her around Europe. I don't smoke when I'm on tour, I don't drink when I'm on tour, but when I go home, I continue with all that stuff. The first step was not smoking. whilst touring. My next step is not smoking whilst doing everything else. If you're gonna fuck about, there's someone waiting. She doesn't smoke. Can you hear her? She doesn't smoke. And I think that's the point that I'm trying to make. By all means, fuck it up if you want to fuck it up, because there's someone itching for your spot who doesn't smoke and takes it more seriously and is probably just as talented as you. And that's it. There is no being nice about it or, yeah, but you tried, yeah, try harder. And I think it boils down to, let's teach people how to love themselves a little bit more. Just fucking quit. Come on, badass.
It's funny because before I started this series, it was alcohol that was very much I classed as my addiction. And that's the one that had the most short-term negative effects on me and the people around me. However, since I've been doing this series and I've spoke to numerous people, it's only now I've noticed that it's the cigarettes that are having the long-term effect on me. So it's a lot more subtle. And it's something that I need to, I think, prepare myself to tackle in terms of quitting, because it's up to me. I've got to be proactive in stopping smoking, because it's not going to come from anyone else, really.